they were having a good time. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, it was pretty pretty final as far as ass kickings go.
Yeah, I think that's one way to put it. How have you kind of processed all the information we've got this week from Coach Rhule to the coordinators to even some of the players, like just tonally and what they've actually said? How is that sat with you? I feel like we're getting a wide variety of reactions to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I think it's probably safe to paint it based on what everybody said that there was everybody was. I don't know if they were reading their press clippings. I don't know if that's what you do there, but definitely there was a focus that maybe wasn't there, and things that were happening that were a little bit out of the norm. I mean, John Butler saying that he got spooked on the long run. Um, that for kind of how little he shares or how careful he is about sharing things, I thought that was a um, pretty interesting admission, and I think it was probably true. I mean, I don't. But you had 2 tackles for loss, and you're sitting there in the middle of the fourth quarter. Like there wasn't a lot of havoc going on there. So I think that tracks. I don't know. It's interesting too. I mean, I think you would think that with the players. I mean, I know it's a young team, and a lot of those guys, weren't even on the team in 23 that went up there. But I mean, I think I would hope by now you kind of almost have to respect Minnesota in the same way that you respect Iowa, right? Like where you might not feel you might feel like you have an advantage athletically, but you just need to kind of accept the fact that you're in for a 4-quarter fist fight. And I mean, I think at various times in the Nebraska Minnesota series, I think Nebraska has kind of forgotten that or overlooked it, and I think it bit them a little bit again on Friday. I mean, it just felt like a Nebraska team that never really settled into that game, and Minnesota was ready from the jump.
BC, how fair or how do you feel about, if last year or whatever previous thing is not this team's burden to bear, which has kind of been the mantra, right? How much of a two-way street is kind of what you just talked about?
Yeah, well, it kind of bleeds into I think what Matt Rhule and some of the players were talking about with entitlement. Um, I think yeah, it's not what happened in 2013 or whatever when Taylor Martinez's foot has no bearing on what happened last Friday. At the same time, similar approaches from Minnesota,
Yeah,
similar
your
coaching
standard
staff,
should be your standard.
right? You know what you're going to get from them, and I mean that's why I kind of compare it to Iowa a little bit. Like the names change, the players are different, but I mean that's the thing about playing a team that over the course of a decade just kind of knows who they are. And I think I don't know that Nebraska across the board throughout the operation really kind of respected that enough. So I think that's part of it. I mean, certainly the way that things played out on the field, and mistakes that were made, plays that weren't made. I think that all kind of played into it. So that's kind of been on my mind, I guess, a little bit this week. Is just I don't know. I think it was a pretty big. I would hope it was a pretty big wake up call over there with the way that things kind of played out. I forget who it was. Maybe Lutovsky said it, but you win games against Michigan State and Maryland in the fashion that you did, where you came back, you made the plays down the end at the end. I mean, I just you can't just take for granted that stuff's going to happen, And I think it was almost like Nebraska was somewhat waiting for like the starter to turn over and the engine to turn on, and it just never did.
Bruntz, as you look at the season as a whole, how much does the performance against Minnesota sort of make you question what you saw beforehand, or will you not start questioning those things until you see that happen twice? Because I sit here and I go, hey, 6 games, we have a pretty good idea kind of what this team looked like. One really horrible game that maybe all of the bad things that we saw over the course of the season happened all at once versus is that one thing invalidating of some of those previous things for you, or do you need to see that multiple times?
I need to see it multiple times. I mean, I think you don't excuse it, but I think most teams that are kind of in that like that you would predict to go like 8-4, like you're going to have a clunker. Like teams have clunkers, and is it there were issues that popped up in Michigan State and against Maryland that were still there against Minnesota that were, I mean, kind of wallpapered over a little bit because you won the game. I don't know if I don't think that happened over there, but I think from a perception standpoint, it does a little bit. It's what's interesting is you're basically getting a little bit of a mulligan going into this week where the game's going to be somewhat similar to what you're going to have to show up and do. I mean, you don't get breakfast
definitely
ball.
have a frame of reference.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get breakfast balls in college football, but I mean, it feels like you're getting to tee up another one here and show that maybe you can put this one down the fairway. So that's kind of the interesting part, and I think that kind of how you play this week, I think, will be a little bit telling of the lessons you learned from last week, and whether or not there's some of the issues that have kind of continued throughout the year that you can, maybe rectify a little bit.
Bruntz, knowing what you know now, you've seen the collateral damage, and Nebraska loses this game, and it had turned so doom and gloom, right? Like I'm still a little taken aback at
Immediately went doom and gloom.
This pessimism and like just I don't know. But having said that, knowing what you know now, do you appreciate or did it fuel the fire of the doom and gloom, the tenor of the coaches taking the podium this week?
I don't know. Like I think I felt like they accepted the responsibility of it. I mean, I think we're kind of at that point where you just need to see it. I didn't have any problem with what any of the coaches said on Monday and Tuesday. I mean, I thought Rhule took responsibility for his portion of it. I thought
transparent.
I thought that John Butler was. I mean, I felt like he was pretty honest about what happened in that one. I think Dana's got a little bit more of a tall task this week to kind of figure out how they can work around some things. But I don't know. I mean, I think in some ways, that effort, I mean, it probably reinforced the feelings of doom and gloom that some were maybe already kind of wondering about with the way this team had played prior to that point. But I don't know. I mean, I think to Ravi's question earlier, I mean, you just kind of you go back out this week against Northwestern and you kind of have a similar opportunity. And I think this week is going to be very telling about kind of where this team's head is at, and also maybe what can be done, to kind of maybe not fix, but at least, mitigate some of the issues that they have, especially on offense the rest of the season.
That's okay. So twice, it's very interesting on your philosophy, and maybe it's based on the preseason expectations. But twice in that, the thoughtfulness there, you referenced or intimated more pressure or tougher job for the offense. As you look at it right now, who has the more experienced coordinator and who has, quote unquote, the better players?
Yeah, I mean, would you?
Makes sense
I
what
don't
I'm
know that I would say that based on what's shown up the last couple of weeks.
Okay, that's fair. I'm just curious to get behind. I got you thinking now.
Well, I guess last couple weeks just kind of stuck out to me because I mean, they've put up 30 plus points several times on offense. So like I get that the offensive performance was worse against Minnesota for sure. Like I I think that's unequivocal. I just don't know. Like, I don't know that I would put, despite some of the mid-game struggles against Maryland and Michigan State, the overall offensive production was still where you would want it to be, right? So, like, I don't know how.
Bruntz, do most people feel share yours? I think more people feel his sentiment in our sphere of influence.
Probably.
Like, who's getting the bulk of the criticism?
I just don't know how to weigh overall production versus what it looks like kind of drive to drive in game, if that makes sense, Bruntz.
What's your fear say, Bruntz?
Well, I mean, go back to that Michigan State game. I mean, the numbers looked okay by the end of it.
Yeah.
What is it's not about the yards, it's about the points, ma'am. What's the
Coach P?
So I don't know. I mean, I think kind of at least to my very small brain, like the stretches of football where it's looked so difficult on offense. Like I think that's my concern. And I mean the sack stuff and the quarterback getting hit and what that's kind of led to everywhere else, that's got to be like, you got to find a way around that somehow. And I think that's the thing is we're how many games into this now, and you're still, a turnstile at times over there. You've got a quarterback that needs to get rid of the ball faster, that's seen things, a running back that probably needs the ball more. It just feels like that side of the ball just needs a little bit more of a kind of holistic fix, rather than, it feels like defensively you just need guys to make plays and you dial up the aggression a little bit more. I mean, both sides of the ball at various times this year have kind of gone through these stretches where look great, and then it's kind of like, well, what are we doing? What happened to that? Like, where did that go? And I just, it feels like there's more moving pieces on offense that have to get figured out in my mind. I mean, I might be completely off base there.
I'm thinking about it real time, man. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like another segment.
Yeah, it certainly could be. Bruntz, I don't think it's the thing we've talked about a ton over the course of the week, because the offense has gotten a lot of the attention and we sort of end up focusing on other things. But how much impact do you put on the last couple weeks with Malcolm Hartzog being out, 3-year starter in secondary, and then Vincent Shavers not being able to go for most of the last part of that, or I guess like the last 3 quarters of that game against Minnesota?
Yeah, no, the Shavers thing felt huge. When you're talking about splash plays and guys that just have a knack for doing that occasionally, he's at the top of that list. And I do wonder too with Hartzog and that injury. I mean, it has forced you to kind of move things around a little bit. You've got, Sierra playing more nickel, and I mean, that's probably not ideal. I think he's doing fine there, but no, I think the Shavers thing and getting him back would help Nebraska a ton. I mean, even on the sidelines, you could see he was down there, really trying to get guys fired up, doing whatever he could, but just having that guy in the middle of the defense and kind of completing that rotation a little bit, I think Javen Wright's playing great right now and is having a really good season. But having Shavers in that rotation, I think adds a little bit more, especially against the run. So we'll see what he can do this week. But I mean, it felt like he was really missed on Friday when you're kind of just hoping for anybody to make a tackle and get somebody on the ground or break through and get a tackle for a loss or some kind of havoc play that Nebraska was just lacking.
Last one from me, MB. When you look at this game and kind of how you think it's going to go, does it have more to do with what Northwestern is or what Nebraska is?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more about Nebraska in this one. I mean, I think you probably know what you're going to get from Northwestern, and it's just a matter of, Nebraska defensively, can you stop the run? Can you get after the quarterback a little bit? Stone is the numbers are drastically different in games that they've won and games that they've lost, and I think for Nebraska on offense, can you find something that you can kind of rely on, get a few big plays, and protect your quarterback? I mean, I think that's not only the on the field stuff, but it just feels like this is a really big test for Nebraska. It's 11 a.m. kickoff. The sleepy potential is high.
I don't know.
But I think you need to come out. You need to come out fast in this one, and I think Nebraska's done that this year with some regularity. But I think the fans are ready to back Nebraska if they can show early on that they've kind of shaken off last week.
That's our guy, Michael Bruntz, Husker247. Bruntz, appreciate the time as always.
Your thoughtful self, Bruntsy. That a boy.
We appreciate the insight and the Aeneas Williams throwback hat.
Oh, it's Adrian Morrell.
Yeah,
I was a big Aeneas Williams guy.
Chuck Cecil. He was a
big Dan Deerdorf guy.
Got an Art Monk. Was he a Cardinal?
No, he was a Skin.
Oh, okay. Arthur.
Yeah, you're thinking of Roy Green.
Probably not.
That's another 81.
Maybe. I don't know. All right, Bruntz. We'll talk to you later.
Rod Moore.
Yep. See you.
Rod Moore.
See you, Bruntsy.